Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, continuing, of course, that's what we're focusing on today on the program. And Tanwa Ashiru joins us. She's a former intelligence, she's an intelligence analyst and former U.S. Air Force intelligence analyst. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Well, we're looking at this particular video. Several perspectives have popped up that raises a lot of questions. But first and foremost, were you in any way surprised that we have yet another video that claims that, well, they gave us some more details. 40 of them have been married off, and then a parent actually identifying her daughter in this video. You have been monitoring this for a while.
Yes.
What's your impression of what you've seen?
Okay, so if you remember the last time I came, I'd mentioned how the Chibok girls were Shekau's ace card. So far, that's the one thing that he has that he knows the government really wants. So it's his bargaining chip. And as you could even see in this video that he released, he was trying to use them to say, hey, release our fighters for us. And he tried to use them also as propaganda to have the government stop airstrikes. Now, I watched the video. And if you look at the area where the girls, you know, the ones who were supposedly killed by the airstrikes, after the guy finished speaking, he then, the video cuts to an aircraft in the air. You can't really tell much. And then it goes back to the individuals, you know, the bodies on the ground. But then looking at it, it's not, the post-blast analysis, it doesn't look like an area that was just struck. That just had an airstrike there. In fact, all you saw were just some jerry cans, you know, turned over, and then, you know, they had some girls laying around dead. But if you think about it, an airstrike, if it was a bomb attack, I mean, you're talking about things just completely, you know, destroyed and, you know, body parts around the whole place. But that's not what we saw. So what does that mean? Is it possible that Shekau obviously himself could have ordered the killing of some girls? Again, we couldn't really identify the faces, and I'm sure the military is going to do their analysis and try to figure out if they can identify the faces of the girls who were deceased on the ground. But even from looking at it, you couldn't really tell if they were Chibok girls. So yeah, Shekau may have said, you know what, let's go ahead and do this. Let's, you know, kill some individuals, put them there, and then make it seem as if the government is doing that so that the government stops with the airstrikes. And, you know, so is it going to work so far? And sorry, there's one more thing.
Yeah.
Shekau is not a man of his word. If you look at what al-Barnawi, who the new leader, who ISIS said is the new leader of Boko Haram or Islamic State West Africa, one of the things he had said in a lot of even the interviews and the message that he released later on was that Shekau loves to kill. He just loves to kill. He has killed so many of them. He kills arbitrarily. And part of the reason why they were leaving was because of that erratic nature of him just deciding to kill people at whim. And al-Barnawi gave so many different examples of people that Shekau just wasted for no reason. And he would even say things like, there was a guy who came, he was a fighter, and then he came back because he wanted to marry his wife. He just killed him off and lied to the wife that the guy died in battle. You know, or there was a guy who bought a house and then you killed him because he bought a house. You know, so he paints a picture of a Shekau who is ready to just do whatever it takes and take lives at whim. So if you ask yourself again, is it possible that he would have just killed people, you know, killed some girls and put them there to stage something? It is possible. It's something he could have done. Well,
that's part of what we'll also consider a little further when we return in just a moment. Do join us again. Welcome back. Well, looking at all of this information that's out there, to the families of those people, this information wouldn't matter. The ultimate one is, what are we doing to rescue the girls? But from what you've seen, do you think we're anywhere close?
All right. So, again, al-Barnawi, because from the interviews and from the recorded messages that he put out there with the whole ISIS involving themselves in Boko Haram leadership, he actually revealed a lot of information. So I'm going to take some information from that. He spoke about Shekau and said, Shekau, I know this message is going to get to you. It's going to get to you in Sambisa Forest. I have people that will deliver it to you and find you. That was one thing he said. He made mention of how Shekau, oh, now you have built yourself an empire. You're enjoying yourselves with your wives in your house. So from when you read it, he has really painted a picture of a Shekau who, excuse my use of this slang, is chilling in Zambisa Forest. And then like a day or so afterwards, there was an interview with the Chief of Army Staff, and he explained part of the difficulty in them getting to certain parts of Zambisa. He mentioned the fact that, right now it's rainy season, and so, the trees, the shrubs and all of that makes it quite difficult to be able to utilize aerial surveillance as well, as much as they would need to. So that was one of the reasons. And then he said, it's so vast. It's such a vast, forest, and that's pretty much why. So by the time you put two and two or both of them together, you realize that the military really hasn't been able to penetrate the forest as much as we would want them to. So it has us thinking, how much effort is being put into really finding these girls? Because even from that video, you could see them filming a plane, an aircraft in the air. So if that was a surveillance aircraft that possibly had, thermal detectors, whatever, to be able to detect life or people moving around, surely they'd be able to figure out that, there's a cluster of people around this area. So, if you ask me, and, looking at the facts on the ground, both from the point of view of Al-Banarawi, which is from the point of view of Boko Haram in the forest, and from the point of view of the military as well, it just seems like, things are not advancing as much as
So when the federal government, through the Minister of Information's aid, say we're on top of the matter, we're on top of it, what does that say?
He can't come out and say, we have no idea, we're not on top of anything. So he knows what he has to say, which is good. You need to communicate reassurance to the people, because right now we're all here scratching our heads thinking, what in the world is going on? So it's natural. He has to come out and sort of reassure, the Nigerian people, reassure the parents. It's what we expect. But that's just the surface part of it. Behind the scenes, I am really hoping that the military, the intelligence agencies are paddling like crazy and really trying to figure out how can we find these, not just the girls, but even these people now. If you look at even the TV screen, you have, from the video, there's so many girls there. And someone asked me the other day, really, how are they being fed? How are they being fed? Are they farming? Do they have animals? Where's the food coming from? Aren't they going somewhere to get food from somewhere? So these are just little questions that I am hoping that the military has answers to. How are they getting resupplies? How are they getting...
But that's part of because, we've seen several times where the military says they've caught some persons who were either supplying fuel to them, some persons who were supplying foods to them, and you thought that maybe, just maybe, maybe by now, they could have been a lot closer, or at least rescue one or two. But the only ones who have been rescued ascribe to the civilian JTF.
Yes.
Many then wonder, well, if that happens to be the case, no hope for now.
Yeah, it's really tricky. There were two things that that they had spoken about Al-Barnawi. In the interview he gave ISIS, he had mentioned that he mentioned the role of the JTF. The civilian JTF. So the civilians who are helping. He said, oh yes, they're just some guys who are with sticks and are, working together with the military who helps them maybe in resources. And said, well, really all they're doing is providing information because they know the terrain well. So, one of the ways which the military is trying to do, I don't know to what extent they're really investing in it, is really trying to partner and work with the Civilian Joint Task Force, because they are the guys that have a lot of on-ground information. So until, that happens, I don't know.
But how serious can we take the comments coming from Al-Barnawi, and which Shekau are we talking about here? Remember, there's been several reports from our military that the Shekau is dead, and so...
Yes, and to be honest, I won't lie, I was probably one of those people that thought, well, we haven't heard from him in a while. Chances are he probably died in the bomb strike. Except after he heard about ISIS saying, you know what, Al-Barnawi is now our new leader, Shekau came out. And then he released an audio message, which everyone has confirmed, which the analysts who do exploitation on these audio messages confirmed that it is him. And in the audio message, he had said, that he felt deceived. They came out of nowhere and then just reinstated him. So it is him. He's alive from that. Again, from what Al-Barnawi said, he painted, he showed us that Shekau is still alive from a lot of the messages that he gave. So really, he's existing. This
picture, from your analysis, it looks like things are really there. They're south. So What's the way forward? What's the hope?
Okay. Now, who is al-Banawi? He was the child of Muhammad Yusuf, who founded Boko Haram. And I was thinking about it, and I thought to myself, you know what? There are so many children. You know, even in this video that we saw, one of the Chibok girls was carrying a baby. I don't know if you guys saw that. And so you're going to have so many of these children who are listening to a narrative, okay, that is being fed to them by either the Shekau or now al-Banawi, who comes out saying, oh, we're not with Shekau anymore because he's killing Muslims. That doesn't make him any better. He just said, why are you killing Muslims when instead we should be attacking churches and barracks? So according to him, he's not saying stop fighting. He's just saying we're just not going to, you know, attack mosques and arbitrarily kill Muslims anymore, but we still want to attack people. So we're still going to attack the Christians. Now, even he said in a lot of the message, and it was a really long message that he put out there, and like I said, it was beef, you know, good information. And part of what he said was that, look, Shekau, you're preaching a version of Islam that is not true. It's not right. That's what al-Banawi was saying. Now imagine the whole cluster of children, of people who are growing up with Shekau. That's the version of the religion that they are hearing. So at some point, you have to look at it and think, you know what? We need to be able to figure out or penetrate